belt, casually joked about sparring with her, and then hit the mat before he could even blink. Jared McKnight was a force everyone at the gym knew well. Sharp, confident, built like a tank, and with a mouth that moved faster than his fists, he ran his MMA class 6 days a week like a high-intensity boot camp, smiling, joking, shouting, sweating, and pushing everyone beyond their limits. But something shifted that Monday evening in Tempe, Arizona. The class started like any other. Regulars rolled out mats, laced gloves, and stretched. Beginners stayed quiet near the back, trying not to stand out. Jared walked in late, sipping from his custom water bottle, cracking jokes before even setting down his shoes. Then he saw her, Tasha Bellamy, the new girl. No gear, just sweatpants and a plain gray tee with rolled sleeves, standing barefoot in the corner, arms crossed, watching like she didn't quite belong. Jared, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a booming voice and years of earned confidence, tilted his head. "Hey, new girl, what's your name again?" She answered softly, "Tasha." A few heads turned. Jared grinned and waved her over. "Ever spar before, Tasha?" She hesitated. "Just here to learn self-defense." Jared clapped. "Perfect. That's exactly what we're here for." Then he addressed the class. "All right, let's switch it up tonight. How about some fun?" The regulars chuckled, knowing Jared's version of fun. He pointed at Tasha. "Come on, let's see what you've got. Don't worry, I'll go easy." The gym laughed, not mean-spirited, just surprised. She looked like she hadn't lifted anything heavier than a grocery bag in ages. Some guys smirked, expecting Jared to put on a show and then move on. Tasha stepped forward slowly, barefoot and calm, face unreadable. No smile, no nerves, just blank. Jared raised his hands playfully. "We're just messing around. You don't have to hit me. Just react." She nodded. "All right," he said with a grin. "Let's start slow." He reached for her shoulder, and then nobody saw what came next. In one flawless move, Tasha shifted her weight, grabbed his wrist, pivoted at the hip, and flipped Jared clean over her shoulder. The thud echoed so loud that 2 people stopped mid-stretch. Silence. Even Jared was stunned, staring up at the ceiling. Tasha stepped back, arms relaxed, breathing steady. No expression, no ego, no smile. Like she hadn't just taken down a grown man twice her size in front of 30 witnesses. Someone in the back whispered, "Yo, what was that?" Jared sat up, coughing, then stood and faced her. "Okay, lucky grab. Let's try again." This time, Jared was cautious. He jabbed lightly. She blocked with her forearm, slid under his side, locked a quick shoulder pin, then let him go, smooth, controlled, intentional, but not aggressive. Jared stepped back. The gym went silent. No more jokes or chatter. Someone finally asked, "Who is she?" Tasha looked around, the quiet making her more uncomfortable than the fight. "I didn't mean to hurt him," she said. "You said react." "So I did." Jared smiled and raised a hand. "Nah, you didn't hurt me, but you definitely shocked me. Most people flinch, you didn't." She gave a half smile. "That's because I've been hit before." The air thickened. No one laughed. Jared's tone softened, curious. "All right, now you really have to tell us your story." The class went on, but nothing was the same. Instead of drills, people kept stealing glances at Tasha, trying to figure her out. Even Jared's usual booming energy was quieter as he coached around the room, eyes often finding her. He was focused, but not like usual. This time, it wasn't about the class anymore. It was about her. When the timer beeped to signal the end, a few regulars made their way over, some with that, "What just happened?" look, others simply trying to be friendly. Devin, a big athletic guy known for showing off, stepped up and cracked a joke. "Okay, seriously, are you ex-CIA or something?" That throw wasn't beginner level. Tasha offered a tired smile. "No, nothing like that." "You a black belt?" Devin pressed. No. You trained somewhere before, right? She hesitated, then nodded slightly. A while ago, but it's been years. Devin kept pushing. Yeah, but where? You don't just walk in here and flip Jared like a pancake without some serious training. She glanced at him, then looked away. Let's just say I've been around a few gyms. Devin whistled in respect. She nodded politely, grabbed her bag, and headed for the door. Jared caught up to her just before she left. Tasha. She turned. Can I ask you something? She hesitated. Sure. That first throw, you didn't even square up. You just reacted. Been out of the game long? Tasha studied his face for a moment. Yeah, almost 10 years. He raised his eyebrows. You sure? Didn't look like it. She said nothing. Jared tilted his head, watching carefully. Look, I wasn't trying to embarrass you or make a scene. That was supposed to be a warm-up joke. But you... He paused. There's something different about you. Tasha shrugged. I don't like being watched. He nodded. Fair. But listen, we do a team dinner on Wednesdays after training. Nothing serious, just food, hanging out, talking about bruises. You should come. She blinked. Why? He gave a crooked smile. Because I think you've got a story, and I like stories. Tasha opened her mouth, then closed it. She looked away, shifting weight like she was about to walk off. Then she sighed. All right, I'll think about it. Jared smiled. Cool, no pressure. If you show, you show. She nodded and left. Jared watched the door close behind her. Devin appeared beside him seconds later. Yo, you think she's military? Jared didn't answer right away. Then, maybe. Devin grinned. You shook, coach. Jared laughed softly. Nah, just reminded. There's always someone in the room who knows something you don't. Devin clapped him on the back and walked away. Jared stayed a bit longer, not rattled, curious. There was something behind Tasha's quiet. Weight, yes, but also control. Like she wasn't just here to learn to fight, like she'd had to fight and learned how to do it better than most. But for now, all he had was a name and that look in her eyes when she said she'd been hit before. And he couldn't stop thinking about it. Wednesday night arrived fast. The gym buzzed with post-class energy, tired bodies, gloves coming off, towels snapping, sneakers squeaking. The regulars lingered, joking and stretching after Jared's brutal double circuit, but he kept glancing at the door. She's not coming, coach, Devin said, grinning and rubbing his shoulder with an ice pack. You scared her off. Jared smirked. Nah, she's not the type to scare easy. Still, when 20 minutes passed and she hadn't shown, even Jared began to wonder. Maybe he pushed too hard. Maybe she didn't want people around. Maybe the gym wasn't what she needed right now. Then she walked in. No fanfare, no eye contact. Just jeans, a simple black hoodie, and worn Converse. Hands in pockets, looking like she didn't want to talk to anyone. But Jared noticed one thing. She came anyway. He walked over. Easy, you made it? Tasha nodded. Didn't want to be rude. You hungry? She nodded again, slower. Depends who's paying. Jared chuckled. We rotate. You're new, so you're safe for now. They headed to a nearby spot off Baseline Road, a small Korean BBQ called Seoris. Not loud, not fancy, just good food and privacy. Most of the crew crowded a long table near the back. Jared made sure to sit across from Tasha. She was quiet, listening more than speaking, which worked well, because everyone else at the table wouldn't stop talking. As plates emptied and people slowly peeled off, it was just Jared and Tasha left. A slow song played over the speakers. Someone behind the counter wiped down trays. Jared took a sip of water and leaned back. So, you ready to tell me where you learned that shoulder throw? Jared asked as Tasha chewed on a piece of grilled pork and swallowed. It's not that deep, she replied. Think it might be, he said with a sigh. Jared didn't push further at first, but finally she opened up. I joined the army when I was 19, mostly out of boredom, didn't really know what else to do. Jared raised an eyebrow. Army? Yeah, basic training was whatever. Then I got sent to a base in El Paso for combat training. I was small, so they put me with the hand-to-hand instructors. Didn't mind it. I got good. Real good, Jared muttered. That was a long time ago, she added. Jared nodded. So what happened? She looked down at her plate, voice quiet. Afghanistan. They needed female search teams, women who could enter homes and search other women without causing trouble. I volunteered. Jared's brow furrowed. You saw some things. Tasha didn't answer right away. It wasn't just what I saw. It was what I did, what I had to become. There was a pause. No tears, no emotion, just a tight jaw. I came back different, she said finally, and I didn't want to be near anything that reminded me of what I used to be good at. Jared let that sink in. But you signed up for a self-defense class? Yeah, she said. I got tired of pretending I didn't still need to know how to protect myself. He nodded slowly. That makes sense. Another long pause. You're not like the others, she said suddenly. How do you figure? You don't talk just to hear yourself. You listen. Jared chuckled. Don't let Devin hear you say that. He thinks I never shut up. For the first time, she looked a little relaxed, like it felt good to say it out loud, even if it was just a bit of her story. Jared leaned in, voice low. You coming back next week? Tasha looked him in the eye. Yeah, I think I will. Neither of them knew it yet, but next week wouldn't be just another training session. Something was about to happen at that gym, and this time, it wasn't a joke. The following Monday, Tasha walked into the gym with a different energy. Her shoulders were relaxed, but there was a new presence about her. No longer hugging the wall, she nodded at a few people and took a spot near the front. People noticed. Devin gave her a respectful nod. Tasha. Devin, she replied. Jared saw her across the mat and smiled quietly. At first, he kept things moving, running drills, calling out instructions, but he kept watching her. How easily her body flowed through the forms, how steady her breathing remained while others struggled. He wasn't the only one watching. Tyson, a mid-30s guy new to the gym, with an ex-wrestler's build and cocky attitude, had been sizing her up since warm-ups. During a break, Tyson leaned over to another guy and said loud enough for Tasha to hear, I don't care how good she is. That throw only worked because Jared wasn't ready. If it was me, she wouldn't have landed a thing. The other guy raised an eyebrow but stayed silent. Tasha pretended not to hear, but Jared caught the look on her face. He clapped his hands to gather everyone. All right, new drill. Pair up and switch partners every 5 minutes. The room scrambled. Tyson didn't move. Jared raised an eyebrow. You good, Tyson? Yeah, he said, eyes locked on Tasha. I'll go with her. Tasha turned slowly. Jared gave her a look, not questioning, more like checking in. She nodded once. They squared off. The class moved around them, but it might as well have been empty. Tyson bounced on his heels, like it was just a warm-up. Tasha stood still, hands loose, eyes calm. Ready? Jared called out. Tyson smiled. Oh, yeah. He charged fast, telegraphing his move. He went for a clinch around her waist, trying to use his weight to take her down. She let him come. At the last second, she shifted stance, grabbed his wrist, and twisted his arm into a modified hammerlock, dropping him to his knees with a grunt. He tapped fast. She released immediately. Tyson rolled his shoulder and stood slowly, jaw tight. Damn, someone muttered. They went again. This time Tyson was more aggressive, trying to hook her ankle and push her back. Bad idea. She sidestepped, used his momentum, and sent him face first to the mat again. Clean, fast, effortless. This time, he stayed down longer. Jared crouched beside him and asked just loud enough, You done now? Tyson didn't answer. Tasha quietly stepped back and rejoined the rotation. No smirk, no celebration, she just kept moving. But Jared noticed something, tension in her neck, fists clenched even when she wasn't fighting. After class, most people left quickly. Tyson walked out without a word. Tasha wiped sweat from her arms near the exit when Jared approached. You good? She nodded. Needed to hear that. You mad? She paused. No. Then what are you feeling? She looked him in the eye. I didn't come here to prove anything, but I'm tired of people acting like I do. Jared leaned against the wall. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. That move, you flipped him like that, wasn't just army training. That was advanced. Tasha looked down. After I came back, I had a trainer, an old guy in Glendale, taught Krav Maga from his garage. No ads, no contracts, just word of mouth. Didn't care where you came from or what you did overseas. If you walked in, he trained you to survive the next day. Jared nodded slowly. Why'd you stop? She took a deep breath. Because I started seeing things I didn't want to see anymore. Every time someone raised a fist, I flinched. Not outside, inside. I got scared of what might happen if I stopped thinking. He said nothing at first. Then, but you came back. I did. Why? She glanced around the gym. Because I missed who I was before it all got buried, and I want her back. What she didn't know was that the next challenge wouldn't be physical. It would be something deeper, something she hadn't faced in years. Friday night brought a different energy to the gym. Louder, younger, more cardio, less technique. Jared usually left Fridays to his assistant, but this time he stayed. He had a feeling. Tasha showed up early, quiet as ever. She wrapped her wrists, grabbed a towel, and warmed up in the far corner. Regulars gave her space, not out of fear, but respect. Except one, Kaylin, late 20s, slender, always in bright clothes, trying hard but stiff, slow, and lacking confidence. She'd been at the gym 3 weeks with little progress. Tonight, Kaylin was partnered with Dominic, the new instructor, big ego, loud mouth, no patience. Come on, he barked as Kaylin threw a weak jab. You call that a punch? She winced, tried again. Dominic rolled his eyes. You're pulling back like you're scared of your own shadow. You think anyone's gonna stand still for a second hit? Hit the mitt. A few guys snickered. Tasha dropped her towel, walked silently across the mat, and stopped beside them. Dominic looked at her. Need something? Tasha didn't blink. Switch with me. Dominic scoffed. She's my partner. She doesn't need a partner. She needs a coach. Jared started toward them, but held back. He wanted to watch. Dominic squinted. You trying to flex? No, Tasha said. You're embarrassing her and yourself. The room quieted. Kaylin looked down, wishing she could disappear. Tasha turned to her gently. You nervous? Kaylin nodded, ashamed. Good, Tasha said. That means you care. Dominic laughed. Come on. Tasha ignored him. Let me show you something. Kaylin handed her the mitts. Tasha slipped them on and stepped back. Throw it like you mean it. Don't think about your shoulders. Don't think about your hips. Just breathe and let it go. Kaylin nodded and jabbed slowly. Tasha adjusted her stance. Another jab, a little harder. Again. Third one. Snap. Heads turned. Now step in with it, Tasha said, guiding her foot gently. Trust your body. Kaylin did. This time the punch landed with a sharp smack that echoed off the back wall. Dominic tilted his head, watching closely. Tasha smiled at Kaylin. See, that's what happens when you stop apologizing. Kaylin's face brightened a little. It was genuine. Tasha handed back the mitts. Don't let anyone tell you you don't belong here. Dominic crossed his arms. Done playing superhero? Tasha turned to him, calm and steady. No, she said. But maybe you should remember what it feels like to be the worst one in the room. He stared at her, expression blank. She stepped closer. You came in thinking I was just the quiet girl in the corner, but you don't know what you're really seeing. He said nothing, not because he agreed, but because he couldn't match her quiet intensity. It wasn't loud or angry. It was real, heavy with something he didn't understand. Jared finally stepped in. Dominic, he said sharply, grab the bag rack. Dominic nodded and walked off without another word. The class slowly got back to work. Tasha approached Jared. Sorry if I stepped on any toes. He shook his head. No, you fixed what I missed before it got worse. She glanced at Kaylin, now punching with a rhythm she hadn't had since joining. Sometimes the fight isn't on the mat, Tasha said quietly. But just as balance seemed to return, something from Tasha's past was about to catch up, and this time it wouldn't wait in the shadows. Midweek, a letter arrived. Not an email or call, but a real envelope, white and creased, delivered by a courier in a gray hoodie who left no name. Jared found it after closing, tucked under a clipboard near the attendance log. His name was on the front, just Jared in neat handwriting. He opened it casually, expecting a supply invoice or sponsorship offer. Instead, inside was a single folded sheet. At the top, Bellamy, former rank sergeant first class, dishonorably discharged. Jared's breath caught. The letter listed deployment dates, incident numbers, and a heavily redacted field report summary, but one line stood out in bold. Engaged in unapproved use of force against civilian in Kandahar. Internal review sealed. No signature, no return address. Jared folded the paper and stared at it long and hard. He could have ignored it, tossed it away. But that wasn't who he was. If she was hiding something, it didn't mean she didn't deserve to be here. It meant he needed to understand the truth. The next day, she walked in like nothing had happened. Same hoodie, same quiet nod at the front desk. Jared waited until class ended before approaching her. "Tasha, got a minute?" She followed him to the back room where the mats were stacked, and the air smelled of leather and sweat. The door closed softly behind them. Jared held up the letter. She didn't flinch, just stared at it. "Someone left this for me," he said quietly. "Is it real?" She looked away. "Yeah." "Why didn't you tell me?" Tasha took a breath. "Because people stop listening when they hear the word dishonorable." He nodded slowly. "Tell me anyway." Her voice was flat. There was a house, a teenage boy. He pulled something shiny from his waistband. We were told the house was cleared. I reacted, took him down hard. Turned out it was a silver comb. He was trying to fix his hair. She looked down. His head hit the corner of a table. He lived, but never spoke again. Jared said nothing. "They said it was my fault, that I should have waited, that I should have assumed he was unarmed because the building was marked, but I couldn't afford to wait, not out there." She swallowed hard. "After that, they made an example of me. Internal review, closed ranks. No one spoke up. I wasn't special, just unlucky." She met his eyes. "I wasn't a hero. I wasn't a monster. I was a soldier who made a call, one I can't take back." The room was silent. Jared folded the letter carefully, like it was fragile. "You still carry it," he said. "Every day," she nodded. "And now you teach people how to stay alive without becoming someone they can't live with." She said nothing. He placed the letter gently on a shelf. "I don't care what that paper says," he said firmly. "You walk into this place with more discipline, patience, and control than half the people here." She looked up, skeptical, but listening. "You think they'd still respect me if they knew?" Tasha asked quietly. Jared gave a half smile. "They don't need to know, but they do need to see you." Tasha furrowed her brow. "See what?" "That it's possible to carry something like that and still show up, still train, still care." He opened the door and asked, "Want to lead next week's class?" Her head snapped toward him. "Me?" "Yeah, you got something worth teaching?" Tasha blinked, surprised. "You sure?" "I'm sure." She didn't answer, just walked out with a new weight on her shoulders. But this time, it wasn't shame. As she stepped onto the main mat, she had no idea someone from the past she'd buried deep was closing in just miles away. The gym was unusually quiet that Wednesday. People came early. Word had spread. Tasha Bellamy was leading the evening session, not assisting, not drilling, but leading. Some came curious, some for the challenge, most for respect. Tasha entered calm, hair pulled back, eyes steady. No notes, no clipboard, just presence. Jared nodded from the corner, arms crossed. He wasn't running this one. Tonight belonged to her. Tasha stepped to the center. "We're starting with breath work." A few eyebrows rose, but no one questioned. They followed her lead. "In combat," she said softly, "your breath is the first thing to disappear. If you don't control it, it controls you." 10 minutes passed. Then movement. Simple drills, footwork, balance, reaction training. Nothing flashy, but everything sharp. Tasha's voice was low but clear, never rushed. She didn't shout or perform, she taught, and people listened. Even Dominic, arms folded at the back, stayed silent, watching. Halfway through, the front door creaked. Jared looked up. A tall man in a black hoodie stood there, not a gym member, with a military haircut and hands in pockets. He didn't move. Tasha turned slowly, eyes locking on him. Her voice dropped. "Take 5." People dispersed. She walked straight to the man. He said nothing at first, just nodded, as if sharing something unspoken. Then, "Didn't expect to find you here?" Tasha's jaw tightened. "How'd you find me, Roy?" Roy shrugged. "Didn't take much. You taught me how to track people, remember?" Jared approached cautiously. "We got a problem here." Roy looked at him. "Nope. Just a long overdue conversation." Tasha raised a hand. "It's all right." Roy glanced around. "So this is who you are now? Yoga warm-ups and breathing drills?" Tasha kept calm. "This is who I've always been. I just didn't have space to be her before." Roy sighed. "You still blame yourself, don't you?" She said nothing. "You weren't wrong, Tasha. We all knew the building wasn't secure, just didn't say it." She blinked. "Why are you here?" His voice softened. "Because I needed to see it for myself, that you're still standing." She nodded slowly. "I am, but I don't train to fight anymore. I train so I don't have to." Roy gave a sad smile. "Then you're already stronger than the rest of us." They stood silently for a moment. Roy pulled out a folded paper. "Unsealed copy of the review. Got it from a buddy who owed me. Thought you should see it." He held it out. She stared but didn't take it. "Thanks," she said finally, "but I already know what it says." Roy nodded once, then turned and left. Tasha watched the door close behind him. Jared stepped beside her. "You okay?" "Yeah," she said. "I think I am." She returned to the center and clapped once. "All right, break's over." Everyone circled up, focused. Something in her had shifted. They could feel it. So could she. Later, as the class packed up and lights dimmed, Kane approached shyly. "Hey," she said. "I wanted to thank you for the other day. And today. You don't talk much, but you make me feel like I'm not wasting my time." Tasha smiled. "You're not. Neither am I." Kane looked down. "I didn't think I could ever feel strong." Tasha's voice softened. "You already are. You just have to stop hiding it." Kane nodded and walked away, shoulders a little straighter. Jared stood with Tasha as she gathered her bag. "You know," he said, "for someone who didn't want to be seen, you sure have a way of lighting up a room." She chuckled. "Maybe I just needed a reason." He paused. "So, what now?" Tasha turned toward the door, but her voice lingered. "Now?" "I help the next one find their reason, too, because no matter where you've been, what you've carried, or what they think they know about you, you're stronger than they think." If this story made you think of someone carrying a silent burden, reach out. Sometimes the strongest voices are the quietest, but they need support the most. Share this story with someone who needs to remember their strength.